When did you first go over to Egypt?
I went over December 4th. I arrived like December 5th. So I was there from like December 5th till like February 20th.
Why did you choose to go over to Egypt?
I originally went as sort of a business plan slash like the experience of it all. I wanted to go visit my business partner who's over there right now going to school.
So where were you living in Cairo when this revolution began?
I was living on El Bustan, and if you can never find it on a map, it's a road that basically connects to Tahrir Square, and Tahrir Square is like where like the main focal point of the revolution basically was.
Did you see any signs of this revolution before it started gaining momentum on the 24th?
No, on the 24th, I got a call that was like, you should probably stay inside because there's protests tomorrow, and I was like, big deal. There's protests. You know what I mean? It's like like in America, people protest. It's not that big of a deal. But like, I guess when the people who are under a dictatorship like go out to protest, like it's kind of a big deal.
How did that feel when you watched Egyptians tear down posters of a dictator that had ruled their lives for 30 years?
I was in disbelief, man. Like I had heard that that they're super apathetic. They're just sort of like passive. They just take what's coming to them. But man, just it was the most empowering thing to really be like, all right, like we're human. Like humans have the power and like have the abilities to go and like right wrongs. And yeah, definitely. I'd say I definitely took part in the protests. The 25th, it was just a gathering, sort of. So like it was just sort of go to the square and we're all hanging out. It was kind of like a festival, except for the boundaries of the festival were lines of cops. And so like it was a very like, jovial atmosphere. It was very, peaceful, a lot of conversation, a lot of, just people talking and hanging out. But on the first day, when they wanted us out of the square, they just like launched tear gas into the square and it just dispersed everybody like pretty instantly.
Can you equate that to anything you've seen in the United States?
I mean, it sounds weird, but like Rock the Bells was it's a music concert. Like it's kind of like that. You're in an ocean of people, and you're all focused on the same thing. Another way to think about it would be is if every Californian drove to Sacramento. Think about that. Like if every Californian drove to Sacramento and got out and was like, "We're really upset." On the 27th, 2 days later, we were marching with people trying to get to Tahrir Square, but cops had like formed a perimeter around the entire square, and I was in between the line of cops and the wall of protesters. Like they were shooting tear gas at us. Like that was actually like one of the more like violent, unrestful days, just because like right from the morning, people were trying to get into the square, and like people didn't stop trying to get into the square till like 8 p.m. at night. So just like 10 hours of people like constantly marching down the street, cops constantly firing like rubber bullets, tear gas. It was like a huge game of football or something. It was just like people would push this way, cops would push back this way, and then like it really came down to like where the wind was and where the wind was blowing the tear gas.
Was there any time that you felt threatened in that protest?
Yeah, on that same day, like we had gotten tear gassed. We were on my balcony and we were taking pictures and like recording footage and stuff. And I watched a cop pick up a rock and he threw it at me and my business partner, and I was thinking like, man, that missed me, but that's probably gonna hit my partner like as this rock is like flying through the air. And I turn, and right as like he's taking a picture, I just like see this rock like crack his head. Like he got his head busted open from a cop slinging a rock. And like the cop hit him square in the head. He got 5 stitches later that night, and like he should have got 8, but they didn't have anesthetic. So if you can imagine like getting stitches without anesthetic.
How available were the medical services for your friend?
Like completely unavailable almost. Like it was like a life-threatening journey to get to the hospital. Literally, like once he got there, there was like hundreds of people are injured. Like people had been shot. Like at this point, like he said he had an Egyptian who had like bullet wounds in his leg, like begging him to help, and he's bleeding from his head, just being like, what am I supposed to do to help you, really? Like, I mean, it's just like it's a bizarre situation. It's a shocking situation.
What was the most disconcerting thing that you witnessed?
The media being attacked by police issued thugs. was one of the worst things to really witness. At one point, like, this line of police had issued a line of civilians, not civilians, but police dressed as civilians, to like go charge basically this whole alleyway, start harassing just everybody, and then but specifically like had pinned these two reporters like into a corner, were like kicking them, like the reporters had like been dodging rocks that were like definitely thrown specifically at the media. You know, it's not like they're just in a hail of rocks. It was like people are like targeting these people, attacking these people.
What was the most inspiring thing that you witnessed?
The most inspiring thing is I had a friend, my business partner, a mutual friend. He comes in and he's sitting there, and he's been in the square for 3 days. He hasn't slept. He's barely eaten. He has no money. We're feeding him basically like his only meals like of the days. Like, he came the first day and then he came the third day, and he was sitting there and he says, like, he didn't even want to say it, but he told us that one of his friends had just died, actually, that he just watched his friend get killed, like that his friend had taken some shrapnel to the neck or whatever, and he was standing like right there while his friend is like, you know, bleeding out. And he tried to like keep himself really composed. He tried not to like cry, but you could tell he was like losing it, you know. And just to see like that resolve, he was trying to hold himself together so much to be like, no, I'm strong, like this is why we are here. And he went out and he went back to the square to like stand where he just saw his friend die. That's what it was about.
Do you think that the lives of the Egyptian people will improve drastically now that Mubarak is gone?
I think the potential for drastic improvement is there. I do think it is actually going to improve greatly. Like, that's my personal opinion. But it's going to take a lot of hard work, like a lot of things do. And Egyptians are very proud. They're kind of like, we don't want any other countries helping us in like our election process. I think they need help. I think any country would need help in this situation, saying like to the UN, like, come help us run and regulate free and fair elections, you know, because that's a hard thing to accomplish in a country where free and fair elections have never been had before. So like, I think in a way that if they ask for the right type of help and continue to like work really hard, then like, yeah, their lives are going to be drastically improved.
When did you end up leaving Egypt?
I left February 20th, and that was it was kind of like an arbitrary date. Like, I went there December 4th, and my plan was to leave February 20th. To just stay for 2.5 months, try and teach as much class as I could, try and get the business going as much as I could. And then it just so happened that I was there for like the 18 days of the revolution.